Well, hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. On today's video, we're going to pick up where we left off in our last video and get some of these logs cut up, get them on the mill, and see if we can get out of each log our intended cut list from our cants that we try to draw up. So we're going to actually take principle and put it to practice to see if this is going to work. So I've got to get these logs cut up to the right lengths, get them cleaned up a little bit, and put them on the mill. So come along with us. Okay, so we got our first 10-foot log on. This is the biggest diameter log that we had in the group. This was the second tree that we cut in our previous video, and this is the butt log of that second tree. So we're going to see if we can get our 10 by 10 cant out. That's going to be our first goal. And we can have a little bit of wane on it. It's not that big a deal, but we can't have excessive wane, of course. We need 2x6s and 2x4s out of that. So we're going to get out. Oh, daggone it. Got a rock in my shoe. Hang on a second. Yeah, man, that one really hurts. Feels like there's a couple things rolling around in there. Yeah, much better. All right, so while we're on the subject of boots real quick, I want to take this opportunity. This is almost like a public service announcement. We'll see. So those of you guys on the homestead, on the farm, all the hard work, I don't know if you're like me, you're still trying to find that perfect boot. So the first set of boots that I had that worked pretty well were Rockies, made here in the good old US of A. These boots held up really well. That's why they're still here. But the only complaint I'd have about these is their soles. They just turned so hard that they just became slick. I walk over rocks or anything and it's almost like having dress shoes slide all over the place. So I stopped wearing my Rockies. And then I switched to Boggs boots, and I can't think of how many pairs I've gone through on these. And really, everybody talks about Boggs and muck, and I've had both, and how great they are. But they're great until they're not. The issue I have with these boots is in less than a year, they all split out. I get splits right here, right at the toe knuckles, where that flexes. Splits out, the neoprene sides. Always get tears in them because I get caught on stuff in the barn or just wherever, a branch, a stub, anything in the woods. And they just don't seem to hold up as much. The one that had the rock in it is a Georgia boot, which I just bought here recently, and these are not a year old yet, and the sole's cracked already, got a pretty bad cut in it that's leaking. Being a leather boot, I do like the slip-on, and probably the worst complaint I have about Georgia boot is when I wear them, I don't know if it's just because they're a wider foot pad area thing or a wider toe, that I get not to sound gross, but I get the largest callus on my big toe. It's like I'm growing another big toe on both of my feet. So I've always been in a quest for good boots. And it's funny because I was just telling Kelly I need to buy a new pair of boots, and as if the man was spying on me, I get contacted by a company called Rock Rooster, and they said, hey, try out a pair of our boots. We think you'll like them. Thinking, hey, I actually need a pair of boots. Yeah, send me some and I'll try them out and we'll talk about them. So I have yet to put these boots on. So I'm not going to endorse them as saying, hey, you guys got to try this. I will provide some information down in the video description so you can see if you want to do your own research. But what I talked with Rock Rooster said, hey, send them to me. Send Kelly a pair. Kelly's getting her pair in a couple weeks. We'll try them on. We'll wear them for a while. And we'll do updates every once in a while to just say how these things are holding up. So I'm going to switch out to my Rock Roosters, and then we'll get to work. I do like the fact that these have a safety toe. This is nice when working around the mill. Okay, so we got our squared cant here. And for those of you wondering what I'm saying, cant, because I guess there's been several questions. Cant is just, it's C-A-N-T, no apostrophe, it's not a contraction. Cant is just simply any log that's had a side removed via sawmill process. So a log that's been flat-sided is a cant. So this is a square cant. So I have 10 by 10. And actually with the gauge on the saw, this is actually just a cat's whisker over 10 by 10. So we got plenty to work with. So did we get any wane? Yes, we did. So if you saw in some of the side angle shots there where we were milling, I say we, it was me, where I was milling, that had a little bit of a dog leg to it, a little bit of a bow. So I put the taper, so the tip of the log was here at the front of the mill, so I could start to gauge there. And you saw some pretty large slabs coming off of that. But we've got some wane here, just a little bit. Not a huge issue. Right there by my papers is probably the worst. So it'll be is something I'll have to take into consideration, of course. That may be, if that's a 2x4, 2x6 or whatever, those may have to be throwaway. So this is a perfect example of how something on paper, something in theory, not actually working out in real life. Now, for those of you guys that watch that are professional sawyers, I think Ken comments a lot about this, that again, this is just an approximation. It's just a formula. Unless you have a perfectly straight log that's an absolute cylinder, it's only when those formulas are going to work exactly. This log, it's an organic product, obviously, so it grows however it grows in the forest. So we had some funkiness down here at the base, and that produced the wane. Kelly expressed a little bit of concern in our last video when she picked this tree out. She was concerned that may be an issue, and now that it has wane, I had to set her down and say, Kelly, this really wasn't your fault. No matter what you do, don't put the blame on you. we're just going to blame it on the wane. Let's get back to work, shall we? All right, so let's hang out at the business end of the log here. So this is our 10 by 10 cant, and so we sat down and did some calculations before we even fired up the mill, knowing if we could get a 10 by 10 cant, how would we get the maximum yield out of that? And knowing that our cut list, we want 21 2x6s, and we want 37 and a half 2x4s is the bare minimum wood we need. So looking at what's most efficient in this 10 by 10 cant, we know we need 3 10 by 10 cants, and cutting out of this, we came up with a cut order. So for this cant, I want to try to get out of it 7 2x6s and 2 2x4s. And of course, a 10 by 10 dimension doesn't break out evenly in any of that. So there's actually going to be an order, a sequence in how we cut these. So if you see here, if I've gridded out the end of this cant, the plan would be to do a sequence of cuts. We're going to do cut number 1 at 8 inches, and then we're going to cut number 2 at 6 inches. And then we're going to take that top material off, turn it 90 degrees, cut that same 6 inches again, and then we'll have 2 2x4s and 2 2x6s that'll go in the rack. That leaves behind us then a 6 by 10 that will just turn 90 degrees and start slicing the 2x6s out of it. So that'll be the plan. And the wane is on this side, that excessive wane, so that's going to be an area that that'll end up in a 2x4. So the 2x4s are one of the easiest things to make with smaller logs, so that makes sense to sacrifice a 2x4 with the wane than necessarily sacrificing a 2x6. A little bit of wane over here will be fine for that 2x6. So let's see if that works out actually. Okay, so that produced exactly what I hoped it would. Again, here's that 2x4 with a little bit of wane on it. But the beauty of that, this 2x4 can be my top rail on one of my panels. And that's, you know, at 4 feet, I'm not expecting the pig to be able to jump up and lay on that very heavily. So being a true 2x4 with that much wane, I'm fine with it. We'll still use it. So got them stacked here with some sticker boards, let some air go through it right here in front of the workshop. So we're just going to keep on milling, but I do believe I hear the dinner bell ringing, so I may have to go check that out. We'll document as we keep making lumber. Down below, as I mentioned, there'll be some information about these boots. There'll be a link. It will be an affiliate link, but as I said, I'm going to try these out before I endorse them. Please do your own homework, do your research if you're going to use that link to make a purchase. Been in them 2 hours, like what I feel so far. But you know how that goes. Brand new pair of boots. You'll see how long they last. So we'll touch base with them every once in a while. You'll probably see me wearing them in future videos. All right, take care, everybody.